Did you see the cover of Cosmopolitan magazine that was widely criticized because they had a morbidly obese woman on who was a
like in a bikini
plus size model? Yeah. And they were challenging beauty norms. Like, this is a person that's eating themselves to death, you fucking assholes.
He didn't have to do her like that. Think about it. One of these little butterscotch chunks running around telling herself she's a savage. I just got out of the shower. Hey, what if I was to run outside? First off, you ain't going anywhere after the shower. Your fat ass is too lazy to run anywhere. At best, you walking. You ain't running nowhere.
Beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, rams, hogs, dogs, chicken, turkeys, rat, you name it!
Scoot over, girl. Let me get in this seat. Let's go on up to Carl's Jr. They got the double ranch burger with onion rings in it. Ooh.
This is a test.
Oh, yeah.
This station is conducting a test of the emergency broadcasting system. This is only a test.
I'm taking shots at the enemy. I'm gonna make it to the top, leave a legacy. If I got something to say, you better let me speak.
This
Turn it up
is a
a
test.
degree.
This is only a test.
Also, self-destructive behaviors that result in damage or debilitation or even disfigurement to the body, that's never going to be perceived as beautiful.
Now, that's not always the case. There are some people that are more attracted to obesity. I mean, after all, there are categories in adult content that cater specifically to obesity lovers. I mean, take this guy, for example.
A lot of people say they don't believe in love at first sight. However, that's how it was for me. She had a sweet disposition about her that really attracted me to her. I like to tell people all the time, I have a license to work with heavy equipment. You know what I'm saying?
No. No, I don't. But this just goes to show that there are some people that find beauty in the big people. Whatever the politically correct way to say that is. So if there's any delusion to discuss, it won't be based around the notion of whether or not someone will accept you, given the fact that many women who are obese have children, so they're getting with someone. No, the delusion is in the idea of rebranding obesity or any of your problems as something that is to be socially accepted in order to force the outcomes that being obese typically disqualifies you from.
I deserve a high-value man.
As obesity becomes more prevalent in society, it seems that there have been efforts to normalize it, to change people's perception of morbid obesity, even to the point of making up cute little nicknames for it, like plump or juicy or Rasputia.
How you doing?
Also, there have been efforts to universally shame men for their preference to go for a smaller woman. We saw this in the movie Shallow Hal, where Hal was shamed for not wanting to be with a woman who was clearly larger than he was. So they called him shallow, and ultimately he had to be hypnotized in order to see her as a skinny version of herself just so that he can get a boner. Now, I don't have anything to lose, so I could tell you the truth about all of this delusion and the idea of accepting every woman at whatever weight she is, and that any man who chooses not to deal with a 300-pound woman is somehow toxic or fat-phobic. Well, fat-phobic, yes, but not in the way that you're probably thinking. Hey! In my observation, and yes, this is just anecdotal due to the fact that it's just my observation, but I've rarely seen a man choose to be with an obese woman outside of emotional or sexual attraction. So men who have a thing for obesity or are with someone who happens to be obese, if you were to ask them about their preference, most of them would talk about how they love every fold, every flab, every pound of their sweet little honey boo-boo, but men are like TVs in the 1980s. You sometimes have to smack the TV, figuratively, in order to get the picture to show more clearly. Bruh. So to get a man's true sentiment, force the activation of his practical mind and not his sexual mind. Implement what I like to call the basement theory. So the basement theory is simple. You're in a basement with steep stairs, you and your spouse. The basement catches on fire and your spouse passes out for some reason, and the only way to survive is to escape via these steep stairs. You, as a man, have to carry her out of there. And you only have 15 seconds before the whole basement is engulfed in flames. Does she live or die? You find that when you begin to ask men these sorts of questions that turn off his procreation mind and turn on his protection mind, that most men would not prefer their spouses to be at a weight that they could not physically support her survival if she was helpless.
I didn't start gaining weight until just before I had my son. With every child came more hips, and I have had 4 kids. So I've gotten a little wider each child.
So while there's an effort to shame men by labeling them as fatphobic or shallow, there's a practicality to these men also. They understand that if it wasn't addressed before childbirth, then after childbirth, things keep getting bigger, and those basement stairs keep getting steeper. So love who you love, but don't conflate the practical with the sexual, or shame people for not wanting to see you roasting at the bottom of the basement stairs.